Hi, everybody. Elle Ingalls here. I am the host of this conference, the Pressure Free Conference on Leadership for June 2023. And we're on our last segment. So if you've been with us all day, and there are people who've been with us all day today, thank you so much for being here. And for those of you getting the recording, you're going to have all of the links and everything to connect you to these people. And it's such a pleasure to bring Val Whiting here. Val is a former WNBA player and a mental performance coach, and she and I met about a month ago, I think it was now, and just had a really great connecting conversation where I thought it would be so valuable to bring her on here and have a conversation. So Val, we're just going to kick off. I'd love for you to share just a little bit about your background and who you are, how you've come to do what you're doing, and then we'll just launch in.
Sure. I am a former WNBA player, but I played my college basketball at Stanford, where I was a part of 2 national championship teams. I was a 2-time All-American there, as well as a player of the 2-time Pac-10 player of the year. It was Pac-10 back then when I played. I played professionally for 8 years, but I struggled on and off with my confidence and my mental game. And I've always been intrigued by sports psychology side of things, but didn't really do much with it until 3 years ago, when I lost my job because of the pandemic. And I took to TikTok to speak to other female athletes, to inspire, to entertain. And I noticed that a lot of my questions and comments had to do with sports psychology and confidence, mental toughness, and why am I playing better in practices than I am in games. And it just prompted me to get more training and become certified as a mental performance coach, as well as go back to school and get my master's in sport and performance psychology. So it was a combination of seeing what young athletes need, as well as what I didn't have when I played.
Wow. That's so powerful. And how cool that you went back and got those degrees, like in this chapter of your life, right? Because you have 2 boys, right? One's in college and one's in high school. So.
Yeah, I have one is going to be a senior in college and one that graduates from high school next week.
Oh, next week. Oh my gosh. Wow. Yeah. So we're both moms of boys. We connected on that for sure. And so with your mental performance clients, and are they mostly student athletes, or do you range from there?
I've had student athletes as well as WNBA players and players that are playing overseas, but mainly majority of them have been student athletes.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And so in your program, what would you say is one of the most impactful things or tools that you've seen that has helped them a lot?
The biggest thing that I noticed, especially working with female athletes, is that they have a hard time complimenting themselves, and confidence is a big issue. And so one drill or exercise that I do with every client is called building a confidence resume. So you write down all the things that are good about who you are, or as a person, accomplishments in your sport, what you do physically well, whether you have good footwork, or you have great endurance, or you're a great teammate, just anything that is great about what you do. And it's dynamic, so it's constantly being upgraded. And then when you're lacking in confidence one day, maybe you pull it up on your phone and look at it before a game. So that's something that I do with every single client that I have.
Oh, I really love it. I love how you said it's dynamic and they're constantly adding to it. And when you kicked it off, you talked about, so do they also have trouble accepting compliments? Like, they don't compliment themselves, but they also have trouble accepting compliments. I run into that a lot with my clients.
Yes. I found that it seems to be a female athlete thing, because when I work with boys, or even my own sons, they don't have issues with that. And we've done exercises where you have to actually tell someone face to face what you've done that was amazing, and girls they feel like they're bragging or they're being cocky, even though it's facts, it's truth, but they aren't comfortable doing it.
Oh, that's really interesting. and the gender difference is really interesting too. And I'm sure sometimes you run into a boy who's like that.
Of course,
So,
of
you know,
course.
the cocky girl who's just like, oh, I'll tell you everything about me. You know, like, I coach one of those. She's 12. She's in Arizona. She's one of the top little athletes in Arizona. Oh my gosh, this girl will tell you. It's so funny. So yeah, so that's very interesting. Confidence resume. I'm writing that down. That's a really powerful piece that I haven't heard before. So thank you for that. It's a great little nugget there. So again, tell us some more about any tools, any things that you feel that could be really helpful for this audience. And of course, this is going out to about 100 people after this too. So
Well, obviously, confidence resume can be used for any, not just athletes. I've spoken to corporate groups and done the same thing and had the same kind of exercises where you team up and tell someone something amazing about yourself. But also, visualization is really powerful as well. Athletes have been using it for decades, and I believe it's finally just getting into the general population. But sitting down and taking time out during the day, 5 to 10 minutes to visualize yourself, where you want to be, what you want to be doing. Athletes do it, they visualize their performance, and all the senses are involved: smell, not taste, smell, feel, what you're seeing, what you're hearing. All of those are involved, all 5 senses, and your brain does not know the difference between what's going on when you're visualizing than with what's going on in real life.
yeah.
So the same area of your brain lights up. So definitely visualization is something that I tell everyone to do. All my athletes have to do it at least 5 minutes every day, as well as before they're playing, before maybe they're hitting a big shot on the tennis court or on the free throw line. And I think that's something that we, as people who aren't necessarily competing in the sports world, can do as well.
Yeah, we do it in the music world a lot too, so it's very similar. And I love how you put all your senses in. I worked with the coach Robert G. Allen, and he calls it virtualizing. So
Oh,
putting all your sense, and I call it super sensing. It's like, you
yeah,
know,
I've told something. I was like, do you daydream? Well, this is just like daydreaming. Daydream, what how you want to play.
oh my gosh, yeah, that's really true. And when you think about what are you hearing, like you just made the shot, what are you hearing? The hearing is huge, and the smelling. Like, what do you smell? I know the smell of that new court, like that
Mhm.
smell. Do you know what I mean? There's so many cool things that you can put in that our brain, we're not used to doing. Like as you guide someone in that virtualization, like how you bring it in. So beautiful. So we have confidence resume, visualization. Keep going. Whatever you want to share, however you want to share.
And self-talk. That's really key. I forget how many thoughts, 70,000 thoughts per day, and the majority of them are negative. I can't remember the stat.
Right. Yeah.
And basically just combating that self-talk and talking to yourself as if you were talking to your best friend. Me personally, sometimes I talk to myself like I'm talking to an enemy, tearing myself
Right.
down, right? And a lot of, and I know I'm not the only one. So talking to you, self-talk is really key, and positive affirmations, saying who you are, and just building your own self up.
Yeah, definitely. And thinking about self-narrative too, do you have them do writing exercises on it? Like how they talk to themselves? Curious.
No, I don't. I definitely have them journal after every practice and game, just
Okay.
to be aware of what was going great, what wasn't going great, what could have gone better. Um, just any other general thoughts. But I never thought about what you just said, having them
Mhm.
do.
Yeah, I created my own visualization of my retreat center. By the way, I had Sid Crosby walking up the steps to come work with me. Like I still see him. I still see him walking up with his ratty t-shirt and shorts. We're going to do a session together. Like it's so in my mind. The whole thing, I virtualized the whole thing. So it's like really powerful. But then I wrote it out too. Like
Okay,
writing it out.
that's
Which
great.
is
Write it
cool.
down.
I think she's going to be my future daughter-in-law, but my son's girlfriend is a skier, mental performance coach. She's an All-American like you. She just posted something recently, sometimes we forget about fun. Like, isn't this supposed to be fun? And so I'm curious, do you have anything that opens up fun for some of your athletes? Because you don't think about that.
Honestly, I'm constantly just driving home the point that this is supposed to be fun, and um, reminding them of what's your why? What is your why for doing this? And when you get deep into your sport and things are going hard, and life too, when you have a
Yes.
purpose and a passion, you forget what your why is, and just constantly going back to that. For me, for example, in 2020, I was cyberbullied on TikTok. My account was hacked. I was getting doxxed. I was getting actually phone calls and texts from people online just because my account was dedicated to uplifting the female athlete. And I had friends who were like, "Why are you still doing this? You should just quit." They had actually get the police involved because people were threatening me.
Oh my
But I
gosh.
had to remember what my why was. My why was to be there for female athletes who didn't maybe have someone in their corner building them up and telling them how amazing they are. And so that was my why and why I did not quit. And I think it's key for athletes and everyone to know when they're in the thick of it, what is your why?
Yeah.
Constantly referring back to that.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, it's hard when we put ourselves out there. Like whenever I get some sort of weird message, I just go on the other day. It's like, ugh, And the thing is, today anybody can find you. Like anybody,
Mhm.
it's like you said, you had to get the police involved. It's just like incredible. So wow, you had to stay in to have your why. And it is. I don't think being a female athlete. I think there comes a little point where you're kind of like the doubt creeps in. It happened in music for me too. My sophomore year in college, like 3 days, I actually didn't leave my room. I was like, I'll never be a great violinist. I'll never be good enough. I'll never be as good as I want to be. Like it just like the crash kind of happened there for me. And I'm sure you see that too. Like there's just kind of everything's cruising. And then all of a sudden there's like, there's this point where we hit some sort of resistance or that I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough kind of thing for. It's just that's like a hard place.
Yeah, it is. And it is obviously quite normal. I know the best athletes probably going to that. Is that what's called imposter syndrome, I guess.
Uh,
So I mean, I deal with that as well, just being new in this game as a mental performance coach, and people who have decades on me. Am I good enough? Am I doing the best for the athletes that I'm servicing? So I think it's normal. But it also goes back to that self-talk, and
Definitely.
also being compassionate with yourself. Self-compassion. There are plenty of studies on self-compassion, and self-esteem and self-compassion and confidence, and self-compassion and athletic performance. So that's something that I just recently learned, just in my studies, just reading about different psych studies on self-compassion and the benefits. So as humans, we aren't taught to be compassionate with ourselves. We're more taught to be hard on ourselves. Don't do well. Let's beat yourself up. That's going to get you going. That's going to get you to that next level. And it's the opposite. And I wish when I was playing in my career that I was more compassionate with myself
Mhm.
instead of beating myself up.
Oh yes.
You know what I mean? I'm sure you guys understand where I'm coming from.
Yeah, yeah. Stephen has a question here. How do you train or teach the female athletes to deal with either the pressure of success of sports or the disappointments?
The pressure of success, like the first session that I do with athletes, it's about expectations. and I have them write down all the expectations, the shoulds and the coulds. Like I should score 20 points. I shouldn't have any turnovers, or I should bat this 300. And then we turn those because those shoulds, expectations, that's what puts extra pressure on you as an athlete. And
Mhm.
we take those away and we focus more on the process goals. All right, what's the process when you get into a game? What's the process to score those 20 points? Because scoring those expectations put way too much pressure, and it makes the person tight. It makes them future thinking instead of present thinking. Because as an athlete, you want to stay in the present. You don't want to think in the past. You don't want to think in the future. So that's one way that we take the pressure off, is to see what the expectations are. Get rid of those expectations. Doesn't mean you're not having goals, but you're focusing on the process, which is, for example, if I am in a basketball game, run the floor, have my hands ready, call for the ball. So I'm just in the moment the whole time. And then you're doing all those things. As long as I'm doing those things, staying in the moment, giving my best effort, it's going to turn out, the results are going to be what they are.
Right, right. That's beautiful. Corinne says, a key phrase I use with many of my clients as a counselor is be kind to yourself. They find that hard at first, but then they get really good at it. And you can see how pleased they are with being kinder to themselves. That's a nice word, kind.
Yeah.
That's a really nice word, because we sometimes are our worst friend talking to ourselves, and changing that language is really important. And that gets into that self-narrative, how we talk to ourselves and what we think about ourselves, and the compassion. I love that you brought that. I'm adding that C word to Stephen's group of C words here. Did he have that one as a word? I gotta look here. I don't think we did. Consideration, that's a good one, but compassion, we're adding that one too. I like that. I like that a lot. Beautiful. Well, we have a few more minutes. Can you share? So do you have group programs and one-on-ones, or how do you coach?
I coach one-on-one, but I'm trying to develop a group program. It's been tough with marketing and everything. And I'm mainly on TikTok for my social media, but parents are on Facebook and paying for Facebook ads and all that stuff. It's been not the best ROI for me, but I also work with teams.
Oh,
So
yeah.
last year I worked with a D1 women's basketball team, and I'm hoping to work with them again this upcoming season. So it's just not only on mental performance as individual players, but as a team, how they are getting together, getting along with chemistry wise, and performing together as a team and having each other's back. So that's called team culture. That's what I'm looking for. So that's what
Yeah.
I do as well.
Nice. Beautiful. And then your one-on-one clients, you'll work with pretty much anyone, but you really focus in on the student athlete.
Yes, I work with, I mean, I have male athletes as well, but I just have a extra passion for female athletes.
Yeah, there are some different sets of problems and different ways the mind works, and how stress affects us is totally different. So, and just our bodies, like what our bodies are doing. Like if you have I worked with a lot of runners. So the first year high school student might win the state championship, and then the times go like this as her body changes.
Mm.
So when she's a freshman, she might not have gone through puberty, so she's just light as air. And then her body gets heavier and she can't do that. And then, the depression that sometimes happens with those athletes. It's so sad, because they were such stars. And then, so it's really interesting. Then I have another friend who works a great deal on eating disorders, specifically with runners. But we see that in some men as well, and boys, but it's really, really strong with a lot of female athletes. And so there's that whole layer in there. There's a lot of little things in there that that having a mental performance coach could be so helpful, for sure. It's beautiful. Anything else you'd like to share with us, Val, before we close out our day today?
No, I think that's it. I appreciate you having me on. It's something I love doing what I'm doing now, but I'm also obviously still learning a lot
Yeah.
about it, and the sports psychology and psychology as a whole is constantly evolving and changing, and
Yes.
new things are being discovered. So I'm just here just to learn and grow like everyone else is.
It's really beautiful. But you have this amazing background. There's not
Thank
many people that can say they played basketball for Stanford. There's not many people that can say they were two-time All-American and then 8 years as a pro. Like, that's really incredible. And it is, as a female athlete myself, it's just like so incredible to meet you and to have you here. I'm almost crying. I mean, it's just really cool because
Thank you.
the work is hard. I put in my work as a rower. I didn't even know I'd be a rower. Like, that was incredible team sport after being in an individual sport most of my life, and to have that as be my team sport, which is so cool. So thanks so much for what you do and how you're helping people now, because I know a lot of people who could have used your help when I was a kid, for sure. It's beautiful.
Thank
Well,
you.
thank you so much. We're going to close out our conference. For those of you who've been here this whole time, it's so wonderful to have you here. I'm gonna stop the recording in a moment, and we can come out and say hi to everybody. And then for those of you getting the recording, I'm really glad that you signed in for this. There's some real nuggets in each one of these speakers, and you can see the through line that's been coming through on our day today. It's really been an honor for me to share these speakers with you, and I look forward to serving you on another conference sometime. So thank you, everybody, and thank you, Val.